Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Apex Fights 10 has a fight on its card. It has Jonathan Pearce fighting Nick Martino, and I'm joined right now with Mr. Pearce. Thank you very much for speaking with us. And sir, you're fighting this weekend. All your T's are crossed and I's are dotted, I imagine, with your training camp. Everything's done. In this training camp itself, can I just ask, have you done anything specific to prep for Nick, or have you just went into this fight camp training your style and your way, just how you want to fight, because that's the game plan you want to implement?
I've been running headstrong into this fight camp like I do all. I've been focusing on myself. I usually only focus on myself and my weak points and my strong points, and those are the two things I focus on. And I feel like everybody should train like that all the time. And if you have an opponent that's worthy enough to beat you at something, then you should have had a stronger game plan before you even scheduled that fight. So you shouldn't have to focus necessarily on their style.
Yeah, so for example, if you had someone who's a specialist in jiu-jitsu, let's say that, for example, you would make sure that you tailored your camp around specifics on the defense of their attacks. Maybe if they were a specialist at, let's say they were a Paul Juarez, you would focus on defending those heel hooks. Yeah, absolutely. No, and you're right. So, like you said, your strengths and your weaknesses. What areas do you feel that you need to work on more? Is there certain areas that a lot of guys, the thing is, it's getting to the point where a lot of fighters are open about where they feel like their holes in their games are, because sometimes it's exposed in fights. So is there anywhere in particular you feel that you've been working on to strengthen that you felt that was lacking, maybe?
I feel like at this point in my game, what I need to do is I need to step up to the next level. You got the guys that fight around here regionally, beat those 1-0 guys, and then you got the people that fight that have about 10 fights or 5 fights, and then you have the people that want to be the best in the world. I want to be the best in the world. I need to take another step in my game to go to that level, and that's what I'm planning on doing in the near future, and that's what I'm working towards right now. I'm still a local fighter. I'm 3-0, and my biggest weakness is myself. I fight myself every time I fight myself every day, and I'm my biggest critic. And the man upstairs is the one that I fight every day. And other than that, I don't have a weak point. My weak point is myself. And if I can conquer myself, then I'll beat anybody.
Well, you're right in the sense of the mental aspect of the game is a very strong point that a lot of people don't discuss and don't look at. Having that mental strength makes a huge difference. It also, for some reason, everything seems to synchronize together whenever everything's clicking up in your brain, so to speak. Everything in your mind is right. Everything flows in the fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would call myself whatever, strong-willed, I guess you could say. But what's strong-willed? What's good in the concept of MMA? What's good? Is that Conor McGregor? Is that Nate Diaz? Well, I know one thing. Being the best in the world means you're better than anybody. And that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to be better than anybody out there. I don't care if you're Conor McGregor. I don't care who you are. I'm JSP, and you ain't fought me. And that's what, like, my mentality every time I go into the cage and the way I hold myself, that happened in that, well, you haven't fought me, and I'm just, I guess, solely focused on myself because this is an individual sport. I wrestled ever since I've been 12 years old. I've been wrestling. So, I got second in the state, and I'm never going to get second. Never will I settle for second. And that's me in a nutshell,
So you said that before that you want to be the best in the world. That's your goal. You obviously at the moment, like you said, you're free and out. You've got to work your way up that ladder to get to that stage. Now, what is it you're doing then, training wise, to get to be the best in the world? You obviously, you have to have the right people around you to get to that level.
Okay, you surround yourself. Birds of the same feather flock together. So, I once was a wrestler. I used to wrestle with Bo Usher, a two-time state champion, and one of the best, a good friend of mine. And he's the one who taught me how to wrestle. Okay, he's a two-time state champion of wrestling in high school. Give you. Now, I'm at Devil. I've been training from day one with Adam Primetime Townsend. He's 14-4, soon to be the RFA champ, soon to be probably in the UFC or on the big stage. I train with, that's my daily partner. Every day I go in there and I try to beat him. Every day. I try to beat myself every day. I try to push, my goal is if you're in practice and you ain't beating the person in front of you, you ain't at practice. You're just having fun. You're just hanging out with the boys. And I'm training with Adam right now. I have a lot of big things in the future, and I don't know if I'm going to say what I'm about to do, but I'm about to leave somewhere for about 5.5 weeks, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well, that was kind of my next lead on to it was, to get to that kind of world beater level, you do have to have the level of coaching has to be that standard and the people around you. So, a lot of guys, I always say, are you going to go maybe think to go to fight camps or even not to fight camps, even just to go somewhere where they have world beaters in their camps like ATT, Alpha Male, TriStar, Alliance, Black Zillions. You just ring off. Yeah, you ring off those gyms and you ring off the names. And is that something? So that's what you're looking to do? Is that you're looking to go to somewhere big and just to experience it as well? To also you get to know where you're at with your career as well when you're around those guys.
I mean, people say there's like these workouts and stuff you can do to train for a fight. Like one you could say is bull in the ring, and you get a new guy every 30 seconds, and it's designed so that you don't beat that workout. Well, if you're the best in the world, you're beating that workout. That's in my eyes that you're beating. So if you don't have the necessary tools, look at Jose Aldo. He was poor. He didn't have nothing. All he did was work for it. Everything he earned, he worked for. He came out of the good gyms and stuff, but he had to work to get there. He had to put himself in the right spot to get there. So, I've been competing one-on-one my whole life. I never liked to play football or anything like that where you relied on a teammate because at the end of the day, who pays my bills? I pay my own bills. I feed my own self. I do all these things. I fight for myself, And right now is the time for me to be selfish. Right now is the time for JSC, my time to shine. That's why, I guess that's why they call me Sunshine.
Well, do you know what? That is the thing. It's strange, this sport, in the sense of you have to be selfish to succeed, but at the same time, you have to be a team player to succeed because it's not an individual. It's in a way it's not an individual sport because it's the guys that you train. Like you say, you train with someone every day, so you need people around you.
Yeah.
It's really complex. It's quite weird the way the sport works, but it is a time where you do have to be selfish. In your fighting career, you're free. You've got the potential. You've got a great start to your pro career. It is a time to be selfish and focus.
I guess the reason I'm saying that using selfish is I'm using it as selfish with my time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you sleep 8 hours a day and you have 24 hours in a day, what do you do with those 24 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. Whenever I was getting in a training camp for a fight, I wasn't sleeping 8 hours. I was not sleeping 8 hours a day. I was probably sleeping. I probably sleeping maybe 5 to 6 hours a day, usually, just because in my head I was like, if I get those 2 hours less, I could be doing something. I could, whether it be even from training, obviously, maybe doing like some sessions on a heavy bag to doing some active warm downs, just walking around, just letting your body just loosen off a bit, and then just stretching at home for a bit. Anything I could do to get a little bit more out of my time, I would maximize it as best I could, because I felt fresh, I felt fine on 5 to 6 hours sleep. And when you're training, do you feel that do you feel that do you need to get less or more sleep than yourself? Do you feel that you have to?
I feel like the sleep isn't. I feel like when you're put in a situation, like, I wouldn't say fighting is a life or death situation, but if it's personal enough to you, then it is. And for me, I feel like I'm so competitive that it is personal for me.
Yeah.
So, like, if I go fly somewhere and there's a terrorist attack and I got all the shit I gotta carry to survive and I have to do it, I'm gonna do it because I want to live.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just give up and lay down now that this has happened to me. So I feel like, a lot of people, it is your mindset. You gotta have a strong mindset to be able to, like, do the 5 and 6 hour, sleeping, or if you have to go 4 to 8 hours without sleeping, like, whatever. If you can't go out without sleep, then you don't really want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. You're spot on there, and that's the thing that you've got to want it bad enough. Yeah.
I guess how I'm, like, basing it all off of is, like, what can we really do? Well, what do we know we really can do? We don't really know exactly what the most we can do is. Like,
No.
There's no way you could possibly know you push yourself as far as your body will go without dying, because you'll pass out before you die.
Yeah, you just got to keep pushing it, exactly. So when you're coming up to face Nick in your fight, are you looking then to, sometimes in certain fights you try to get something out of each fight? Are you looking to just go in there and get those, you're looking for the quick finishes? Or sometimes, like, say, a 3-round fight, I always say, can really help a fighter develop, getting those 3 rounds under your belt, because it's valuable ring time. I'm not saying you should have a 3-round war every time you fight, but every now and then, a 3-round, it really does help a fighter develop.
Well, my first fight, it went 2 rounds and I knocked him out in 30 seconds. Okay. My second fight, I broke my 5 months after it to the day, 5 months. And I fought a really tough guy named Anthony Morgan. And I beat him by unanimous decision. And then I went and I turned on and fought Chris Wright like 2 weeks after that or something. I don't know, 3 weeks. And I beat him in the first round TKO, and he was training out Rufus Sport. Been training out there for a while. That was his first fight back. I finished him in the first round with the TKO. I'm not looking for anything in this fight other than to be me and have fun, I don't know. I fight. I train real hard for this moment just to enjoy the amount of time I have in the cage. So, at one point in time I couldn't do MMA. I thought I wouldn't be able to do MMA because I broke my jaw in 2 places. I'm just lucky to do it. And if I can go out there and do it, and I know that won't ever happen to me again, so I'm going to have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know that I've been hurt worse and I'm going to go get hurt, if it happens. And in my eyes, I say when I win, not if I win. I say when I win. And that's just my mentality. I'm not going to say I'm looking to finish this guy then or at this time and rush it. You don't know. I've never done it before. This is a new experience for me. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm 23. I'm about to be 24. If I can fight and work for myself and do what I'm doing right now, I'm living the dream,
Do you know what? It's a good way to be. It's a very good attitude to have. I like it very much. So, like I said, you're fighting Nick Martino at Apex 10 Fights. For people who can't get to the event, because if they live in Sweden, let's say, is there any way people can follow you maybe on social media to, follow your journey, from the beginnings as it is now, so they can follow you on to when you get to greater and better things?
I have a Facebook page, Jonathan JSP, and MMA.
And do you have any sponsors at all?
I have Greg's Pizza in Johnson City, Tennessee, The Evil MMA, Highlander Barbecue, and that's all for now.
And last but not least, do you want to give a mention, like you mentioned your training partners, do you want to give a mention to your gym that you train at, your coaches, and any other people that help you out along the way?
Dustin Walden, Adam Townsend, Dustin Long, that's pretty much been the people from the beginning, and Caleb Cupp, Ian Boxhorn, Matt McKinney, all my people that I train with at Devil MMA, Alex McKinney, Gavin Walker. I just want to thank them, and I want to thank everybody who's paved the road to allow MMA to be as successful as it is here, and I can just fight, in my hometown and not have to worry about going and trying to find funding to travel and stuff. The guys who paved the way here, I'm so thankful for them. And I just want to thank God, big man upstairs. That's what it's all about.
Well, sir, have a fantastic fight and have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself and take every minute of it in, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.